Hello, Galactic Travelers, Cosmic CRU. What's happening, hot stuff? Oh my gosh, my goodness. Okay, so 0828 2018 72577. Hang in there with me, guys. I'm trying to come back down to earth for you guys a little bit. Wow, we knew a wave was coming, and for reals, it has been an incredible 9 days. So many of y'all are involved. I'm gonna do my best right now to just recap some of these activations and these dates that I've timestamped. Really going back to since the 16th is when this started. But on the 19th, it's been every day since, with the earthquakes, the whole 9 yards. And wow, all I can say is I'm so grateful to every single one of you. Every single one of us, our energies have been utilized. I know that each one of you has had an experience in some shape or form that's going to relate to some of these dates. So I'm going to look at my calendar real quick. So on the 16th, August 16th, this was Thursday, not last Thursday, the Thursday before. So that's actually 12 days ago, is when we had a divine masculine. That's right after that new moon, when we had the divine masculine, divine feminine DNA merge. That's when the twin flame merge codes came in within the OA. 3 days later, so that's going to bring us to Sunday the 19th. This was the day that Annemarie and I, and this is on her channel, Akasha, StarSeed, Annemarie. This was a day I was guided to. This was all by synchronicity, but this is really when it started. I was guided through synchronicity just to pick up the phone, tell Annemarie something. I did a short video on this. She happened to be on a session with a beautiful woman, Anna, who was in Italy and was getting some healing. But this was the first time Annemarie and I's energy fields entangled the way that they were divinely guided to do, and a lot more happened that day. I think I might have even put those codes out. This is when you probably started having any cramping, even if you don't have ovaries. I don't even have ovaries. I don't have a uterus, but these felt like 16-year-old cramps, like you were going to get sick. Men were having stomach issues. This was on the 19th. Sunday the 19th. Okay, so really that was day one. This is also when the deepest earthquake, I believe it was 8.6, deepest earthquake that we've had, went off. Because remember, the ancient codes were already in. So this was, Dutch Scent started a 10-day countdown. And the 19th, the day that we released that huge gold ray of energy and healing to the planet, right after that new moon, is when that earthquake went off, okay? No, it was the 20th. It was the very next day. My apologies. It was 0820 is when that earthquake went off. That was day one. Day two was 0821-2018, and I was guided to do a healing with Robert, who is the technology person that I work with here. His name is Robert. He came back into my awareness. I worked with him prior. But the long and short of it is, we're all in our different ascension and awakening paths. And so we're pulling, Robert out of some stuff right now. And a big healing took place. And this was day 2. And I didn't realize how it was connected, but I wrote it on the board. So the numbers are 08212018 at 11:01. This was at 11:01, and I put a question mark on the board. But now I know that when I did that, what happened was Annemarie, I found out 2 days later, Annemarie in Germany at that same time, Robert's soul came to her. And that Annemarie has some codes up about Robert and his healing, which ended up going down a couple of days later. But in that moment, on day 2, when this energy was high, that's actually what happened. But when I wrote it, I didn't realize what had happened until days later. That leads us to day 3. Day 3 is 08222018 at 1221. So I'm going to back up now, because on 0821-2018, the day Robert came to Annemarie, that night about 11:30, I was on YouTube. I was looking for some lives, see what people were talking about. And Rainbow Phoenix, Paula from Rainbow Phoenix, was on a live. She was on a live with Racheal. Racheal is a friend of hers that's been a part of her life, Paula's life, and she's an AB negative bloodline. And Paula has tried to connect Racheal and I up to this night, but nothing really resonated. I knew we were going to talk to one another, but it was just always never the right time, things like that. And that's who she happened to be on the live with. So I was messaging back and forth that they were, and of course they were talking about the bloodlines. So I ended up, long story short, I ended up jumping on that live really quickly that night, and we were on till about 1:30 in the morning. And what it ended up, and please go watch this on Rainbow Phoenix channel. I'll post that link too. We ended up doing a coaching session, really, for like because Racheal she's an AB negative, but she's just now putting a lot of these things together and really becoming activated and aware. And so I basically did a little session with them, thinking that it was just for them, that I was just giving energy to them, that I was just helping the consciousness, and hung up that night. Okay, and then the next day, I thought. So now this leads us to 08222018, and I didn't think anything of it. I was actually trying to ring Paula, Rainbow Phoenix, for a technical question, and accidentally rang the whole group. Racheal, Paula, and Casey, who happens to be also an A negative and in the similar situation as Racheal. So on this day, starting early in the morning, what these calls ended up being, and I have taped these, and when I can catch up, I'm going to release them. It's a full coaching session, a consciousness session from a different perspective. I taped the one with Racheal, hung up with her. It was about an hour or so, lots of revelations, lots of amazing stuff. And then what happened is my consciousness started raising so quickly, and my awareness. And this was when, immediately when I hung up, we had called in some healings. They're on the video. And our energy fields were just so huge. We had intertwined so much energy, and I knew what was happening from the negative side, but I wasn't thinking anything would really happen when I hung up the phone. And what happened was Lemurian codes came in. I've got more information on that, but basically, through a series of phone calls. So first we needed to blend energy. I had some heart activations, went up into this like pink sun. Actually have some videos of me talking to Caroline about this. And then I knew that we needed to blend the energy. So I called everybody back because I knew that we were all still connected in our energy fields, and was explaining to them what was happening, why their hearts were hurting, because they were all having quickening activations. So we called and held space, and we blended our energies, and then we ended up coaching Casey and calling in her clearing. And when I hung up from that, immediately is whenever Caroline and Hawaii came online. And when I focused that energy that we had just gotten on Hawaii, I immediately went into a large volcano there, and we were raising the consciousness, and that's when my light language started. I have spoken light language, but only what I think is maybe Enochian. But when I went into that mountain, and now ever since, I'm starting to speak light language. You'll hear it all over the place. I'll explain. But Lemuria, the codes came in for Lemuria. And when I looked down at the phone, it happened to be exactly 258, which are the times that Caroline had been seeing. Okay, this is day 3 of the earthquake watch. So now that leads us to the 22nd. Then day 5 on the 24th. This day was insane. This is when I found out what had happened on the 21st with Robert, with Annemarie. After the 22nd, on the day of the 22nd, after we completed the Lemurian codes, is when my modem blew. Literally in my house, my modem blew. And I couldn't get online with anybody. Now I know it's because I needed to be free from Wi-Fi for a period of time because of the consciousness level that our crew had gone up to and pushed us up to get these keys. So I had to go to Robert's house to do my readings that day. That day I had readings, and these are pertinent, with Leslie and Ninaru from the crew. And so I had to get somewhere to get Wi-Fi. Well, I was rushing around and caught my email, and Annemarie had sent me an email telling me about the experience on the 21st when I had done that healing on Robert, how his soul had come to her and that we needed to do some healing. So, shoot, I was already on the way over there. I didn't even listen to the rest of her message. And on the way over there was when I realized, because I had just done the charts for Leslie and Ninaru. Mind you that Racheal and Casey, the A negative and the AB negative, on the 22nd, they are master souls in them themselves, not just A negative. And I'm just saying that from the blood perspective because it was important for this conversation. But yes, and a master soul from Vega, a master soul from Lyra. So the master soul from Lyra, master soul from Vega, master soul from Sirius pretty much sums up how the human flesh suit got here. So those clearings and that trinity is what I kept seeing then and on the 22nd. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, trying to remember everything. So I realized on the way over there, because I had the charts of Leslie and Ninaru, Leslie is a master soul from Zeta Reticuli and the most galactic being that I've ever had the privilege of reading for. And right after that was Ninaru, who basically is a future timeline seed like me. but she was a master soul from Betelgeuse, the first generation star. So I started putting everything together. Holy moly. And anyway, I'll go into that whole story, but at another time. But in that, we were all in one room, in one house, with all those, and Funda and Annemarie were talking to Robert. I was on with Leslie holding she let me, I got her permission to utilize her energy. And while she was breaking through consciousness and I was working with her on the galactic codes, and even my voice came through in a very vibrational way. I mean, it was crazy. She can attest, I'm sure. We thought that there was reverberation, but it wasn't. It was just how my voice was coming through to her. And it was because we were at such high consciousness levels and we were getting the new matrix codes. Yes, so the new matrix codes came in. Those were the 5D matrix key codes at 3:33. New human was birthed. That was Nineru. Nineru's seed was the master soul from Betelgeuse. This is when her reading was, and we connected the first time. Her seed is pretty the most similar that I've ever had in meeting someone that's had this similar experiences of really embodying Earth. But she is a future seed. So whenever I met her, oh wow, she's already completely awake, and she knew what was going on and why we were there before I did. Let's just say that. So yeah, that's the 24th. Then we had the 25th is when not sure. On the 26th is when I was encouraged to call Nineru back to do a Betelgeuse clearing. This was on Sunday, so this took us 7 days in. So, and what was interesting is that her and I and our Akasha, we knew that this was the 7th day. We were supposed to call in this healing, and then we were supposed to rest. This happens to be the day of the full moon. This is 08262018. This was day 7 on the earthquake watch, and this was at 8:53 my time. Is whenever these clearings came in. There was lots that went on with that. Beautiful, all of it, but intense. I have nine trying to read my board. 940. It's all DM. I don't know what that says. Then that's whenever I ended up taking off to Oklahoma. Christy, my friend that's here, Soul Steps every day, calls and says, hey, you want to get out of here? So we take off to Oklahoma. Oh my gosh, we have this magenta energy reflecting all in the sun on this ancient land, we're Chickasaw, and there's a lot that's being unfolded with that, with some awareness points and things in Oklahoma. And that happened the same day. This was when we had the pink sun. This is when we had the pink moon. This was on the 27th, on the 7th day. And then the next day, we went to the springs. We were led to these springs again. I mean, this was all synchronistic. None of this was planned. And because we were in Sulphur, Oklahoma. We had kind of been driving around Oklahoma. We had ended up a few different places. I'm going to do a video on this. But the long story short is we ended up on some government Indian land where these codes that we had just brought in from the 5D needed to be anchored. And everything was so divinely, beautifully timed that this magenta energy we reflected up onto the sun, and that is what made the moon so pink. And we had a lot of ancient 12D codes, 9D has been completed, 12D codes. We ended up having a flat tire, which led us in some different directions, and now I'm starting to understand why. There's a lot of things going on in Oklahoma that needed our awareness. And just fill you into that point right now, but it's all come online why we were in all those individual places in Oklahoma, which is really 30 miles from where I live in Texas. We were guided. We had a flat tire. We stayed at this casino. We pulled in late. And this whole night when Christy and I slept, we were basically in a stasis. And I just thought it was because the energy was high, or maybe our energy fields were entwined because we were in this small hotel room. But we were even waking up and time stamping at the same time. She was waking up with me, and we were getting all these codes. I know what it was. We were integrating. But those new codes into that land. This is, Sulphur Springs is where the water comes out of the ground that you could drink. And there's a lot of energy and ley line points here. So, woke up the next morning to realize that there was quite literally from the hotel room, of course, because we're making this experience, an ancient Chickasaw burial ground, all the tribal members. So of course that was the what we were doing there. So then we went to the Sulphur Springs, and we were guided, following license plates to a particular spring, and that's when Christy noticed this tree. And I could clear, first I saw a monkey in the tree, meaning the wood looked like a monkey, and then I saw the little girl. And Christy had known to bring a crystal, and there was a place just right above it perfectly where that crystal fit. And this was when more light language came through. Amazing. And when we left is right. So I have on 0827-2018, I'll remember now, it was 12:34. So it was at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's when my right ovary had that popping sensation like my left one did on the 16th. So that's whenever the divine feminine was I'm not sure if it was activated, or more or less like an ovulation. I feel that now that's leading us up to today. And today there were codes that came in through a series of extreme awareness synchronicities. Again, the more that our lives have been manipulated, like in the 3D, right? The more opposite they are, and so all these timelines are crashing, and our physical worlds are changing. And I was talking to Annemarie about some of these things, and I'll just say it. I believe I have children that were taken from me as a seed. And there's many people that have told me this, and it's just been confirmed. And we were talking about this, and it led to more conversations about these things that happened in Oklahoma. And these things that in Oklahoma are traced back to sex trafficking and enslavement. And, it makes a lot of sense that, of course, we're going to call in now the freeing of all the souls. Of course, we found a girl in a tree. Of course, the story of Molly Miller and her missing, and and being led to Oklahoma. And so today, Annemarie, Funda, and I did more codes, and they just posted them. And actually, there's 2 videos. One is explaining more of what I was hinting towards in Oklahoma, and these sex trafficking rings and these things that are just now, they're gone. They're gone. But these are just all things that needed to become, that came up in the awareness today at a deep spiritual level, because the sun is on 7 degrees Virgo right now. That is Alpha Draconic Racheal. If you're Alpha Draconic, if you're Orion, or if you're just feeling any of this dense energy in your legs are cramping, that's Alpha Draconic energy. We're all feeling it. 85% of us have Alpha Draconic DNA, because that is what the new human DNA. So there's also a trine in the astrology chart today, and I can't remember exactly all the points, but Alpha Draconic's one of them. I believe it's Mercury's involved, and I can't remember if it's Saturn or Pluto. But of course, this rewrite would come in today, and all this would come up in our awareness as these new codes have gone in, and the collective, the 5D bridge has been anchored, and we're fully online and fully aware, to the point where all of us are having this telepathy that is completely off the chain. Which is why all this other stuff is coming to light, right? So go check out the codes. They're amazing. They go up into a density, and there was reverberations that I'm sure y'all have never heard before. And there's a story there too, the 13-minute one as well, right before it. So it's just been nonstop. After the 26th and the Beltagese experience with Ninaroo, because that was another beautiful experience I want to talk about in the future, is when this spider web of life came. I woke up one morning and just started drawing this, and we're going to talk about this a lot, because it links everything. It links your starseed DNA. It links your human DNA. It links the Christ. It links the Buddha. It links the Galactic. It explains the energy dimensions, how you go up and down in consciousness, how that affects your experience, what is holding you in your spider web. I'm walking in a spider web. Leave a message and I'll call you back. Right? Spiders were, and it was just spiders. I literally had 6 spider bites in my belly button right before the 13th, on the 12th, August 12th. I've been getting bit by spiders. People have been seeing spiders. This was, this has just been in the consciousness. Well, this is why. This is these teachings. So some of you might already, be remembering some of this. So we're going to start talking about this. Gosh, and then the Oklahoma trip with the sun, and and then the stories, the healings with Racheal, and the healings with Casey and Paula, and the sessions with Ninaroo, and the session with Leslie, and the session with Annemarie, and the talks with Caroline, and the trip with Christy. I mean, it's the talks with Robert. I mean, it's been amazing. We're all connected so perfectly, and I keep waiting for it to dip down so I could catch my breath and get the videos out, and I'm wondering if we're not going to be dipping back down again. I'm very tired. I love you all very much. Please check your emails if you ordered Starseedology. I sent out 14 invites for readings today. I'll be getting back with everyone to get those solidified over the next couple of weeks. And more videos on the way. I love you all so very much. Oh, I'm walking in a spider web. Leave a message and I'll call you back. I call in the highest timeline of all dimensions, of all space and time in this now. I activate and anchor Christ consciousness. I am conscious. I am sovereign. I am whole. I am balance. I am love. I am integrity. We love you all of the all for the all, for we are not small. We are taller than tall.